What's going on, everybody? This is Gene Jensen, and I am starting a live hangout here in just a minute, and happy to have everybody with us. Today I want to talk about Lake Okeechobee and my trip and the videos, and kind of want to discuss a little bit of that. So. Hey guys, there's about a 12-second delay, so what's up, Farm Kid? Richard, you doing all right, man? How's it going? Matthew? Jared, what's up? What's going on? So what I want to talk about is a little bit about Okeechobee. I kind of used you guys as an experiment this last week. My editor and I, we went way over into the entertainment world and to see what the reaction would be. I really enjoyed it. Didn't catch as near many fish as I wish I would have. Fishing was really tough. So you know, it was pretty tough. Oh, there's Matt. And for just a few minutes, I got my editor on. Hey, Matt, what's up, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. He's the artist behind the crew now. Just recently, I decided that I was going to build a team of a Flukemaster team, for instance, and got a hold of Matt. Actually, Matt got a hold of me, and so I want to introduce him. This is Matt Kendrick. This is my editor, and the guy who's making my videos look absolutely amazing now. So everybody say hi to him.
How's it going, guys?
And so kind of what I want to do while he's on here, he's going to be only going to be on here for a few minutes, is kind of let you guys ask questions or give your opinion on what's going on with the videos. What do you think about them? What kind of things we can do different? Things like that. And like I said, there's a 12-second delay with this, so it's kind of crazy. That's why I take the Mac. Yeah. What I do, man, is I just slide the screen over out of the way so I can't see the actual feed. All I see was what's coming through on my camera.
Let me get this here.
And then mute the snot out of it.
I'm getting there. Hold on.
Yeah, it takes a minute.
Okay. Should be good to go now. So
a lot of good comments. A lot of them say videos are great. Love the intro. Yeah, the videos are going to be a little longer. Like, you know, there's a happy medium, dude. It's really tough. I'm scared to death of 20-minute videos.
Me too.
Mainly because a lot of people, the majority of people who have never seen my videos before, aren't very up to date on what I do. When they see 20 minutes, they watch 5 seconds and that's it, and they're gone. As soon as they see that it's 20 minutes long, they think it's a waste of time. So I have to kind of keep it happy. 10-15 minutes. It's kind of scary. Sometimes I'll do 20-minute videos. The MTV Slams will always be about 20 minutes just because of the amount of footage that's in it. But you got to play that game, and I hate it. But I don't get near the amount of play on a video if it's 20 minutes long. So my idea is to have a few, 1 or 2 entertaining videos a week, and then one really good instructional one that runs 15-20 minutes. That's kind of the idea. Matt and I haven't talked much about it, but we'll definitely get around to figuring that out.
Yeah, and there's an instructional one coming from Okeechobee.
Yep.
I don't know when that one's coming out, but
probably either tomorrow or Tuesday. I haven't decided yet. I'm sitting on it.
But you didn't. I mean, that's what you mainly did the whole time you were there, right?
Yeah. I fished, and I tried to do more instructionals, but all they wanted was a dang swim bait. And I know there might be some FLW guys watching this, but they probably have already figured that out. The water got high, and the holes that you were looking for in Okeechobee were hard to see, and so I had to use a moving bait, and they were reacting to the moving bait better than anything else. So I just threw that for days. I was worn out by the last day from just chunking and winding is all I was doing, and catching fish, just nothing really big. So these comments are hard to follow sometimes.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah. So
I like all the Thunder comments. So I am a Gene may have Georgia Bulldogs, but I got the.
That's right. He's got the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Right.
All right. So who else? Jim's on here. So guys, seriously, give me your comments. What do you think about the instructional video, or not the instructional videos, the Toad Trip videos? A lot of guys said they were too short and didn't show enough footage. I gave him all I had, and
And
he did.
I literally showed every fish that was caught. Like every single fish that was caught was in there. There wasn't much cut out at all, and everything that Gene said on camera was in there too.
Yeah. There were some things. There was some audio missing on the last video. That's why he had to throw in a song, because my mic batteries went dead. And then switch the music up every video would be cool. Yep. I got the one video that comes with my intro was written by a good friend of mine, and written by Whiskey Rodeo, the band, and so I kind of use that one. But yeah, we're going to switch up quite a bit of music between me and Matt. We have a little bit of music we can use. So we just have to be careful, because a lot of that can get me in trouble with YouTube.
Yeah,
so
music costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it does. Really costs a lot of money. So you're going to see a few, but it's how much? Anywhere from $20 to $60 a song.
Yeah, I mean, a good. Like I do commercial work for companies and stuff, and if we want to use a song in a commercial, it's like $300 minimum. So like that's just for 15 seconds or something like that. Like it's expensive.
Yep, and I don't have that much money. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm from Oklahoma. Of course. Come on.
Let's see. Okay, somebody else says they can make some tracks for us. It's just one of those things. Toad Trips. Toad Trips was awesome. Great concept. Would definitely like to see you fish more lakes. Great concept, giving you an idea of what it takes to prepare for a long trip of that magnitude and how to apply it. And for the next trip, what I want to do is I'm going to do the lead up, how I'm prepping for it and everything else. And then I think I found that happy medium, that middle ground where it's going to be entertaining, but in each video I'm going to try, don't hold me to this. I'm going to try to teach, depending on how good the fishing is. The fish have to cooperate, first of all. If they don't cooperate, I can't teach. I have to go in with 20 or 30 different videos in my head, and if the fish cooperate with one of them, I'm happy. And if they could switch it up a day, it'd be great too. I could get 2 of them in. So I really need them to cooperate in order to make this work. But I'm gonna try to do some instructionals while I'm doing it, and Matt's gonna throw in some music and some and some fun stuff with me teaching, or with me just catching and things like that. So that may lengthen them up a little bit, but it's still going to be in that 10 to 15 minute mark. Sometimes less. So that's kind of how it's going to work out. Did I talk to any of the pros? I had breakfast with Scott Martin one morning. We were going to get together, but his schedule was so busy, and I understood that because he's got the tournament this week. But it was cool to sit down and talk to him and see what's going on. We're going to do some more things in the future.
So I saw a couple of questions about what editing system I'm using.
Yeah.
I use Adobe Premiere mainly for the main part of the editing, and then if I like for Gene's intro and stuff, I use After Effects with that. So kind of jump back and forth between those two.
Yeah, he's a lot better than I am. He does it for a living, but he's a lot better than I am anyway. Oh goodness! It was funny though, Matt. It really it shocked a lot of people when they immediately started seeing a good intro and a good everything else. They thought that there was I had died and somebody else had come in my place. Oh goodness! I got my kids keep wanting to come in, and they're very distracting. So the places we're going to go toad tripping, I don't know yet. I don't have any clue where I'm going to go next. Things coming up in the future. Week after next, I'm going to Lake of the Woods ice fishing with the 13 fishing crew. Going to have fun doing that. Then I'm going to go down to wherever in we're in Wisconsin. Going to fly down to Wisconsin and meet with a guy by the name of Eric Hadia, who has a great YouTube channel, and he's a guide up there, and we're gonna just have a ball videoing. He's crazy, absolutely a nut. So it ought to be a pretty good video, or several videos. So that's kind of, I'm gonna kind of get my feet wet, per se, ice fishing. So
then we'll meet up at the Classic together.
Yep, then we'll meet up the Classic. I'll get home, and 3 days later go to the Classic. Me and Matt are going to meet up. We're going to do some, he's going to bring his camera. We're going to figure out what we're going to do. We don't know yet, but we're going to try to get as much footage, do some live things from the Classic. I'm going to do a bunch of periscopes, and we're just going to have fun. So if any of you guys don't follow me on Periscope, get the Periscope app on your iPhone, iPad, Droid, whatever, and follow me, follow Mystery Tackle Box. Maybe Biospawn will do some. Of course, One Rod, One Wheel. John B will be there. It'll be a bunch of us. We'll all be hanging out doing periscopes and hanging out and doing social media stuff at the Classic. So,
what do you what kind of stuff you think we'll get from the Classic?
You know what? I've over the years I've developed some pretty good friendships with some cool guys, and I kind of want to get some inside stories. I want to share the inside story of the Rage Tail. I talked to Steve on the phone today, but I forgot to ask him if I could do that, but I don't think he's going to have a problem with that. You know, find out exactly how the Rage Tail product, came to be. It's a pretty cool story. And then maybe I hate to go up and bug the guys who didn't make it into the Classic, because they're usually not in a very good mood. But maybe grab a few of them that I've gotten a relationship with over the years and see if they want to talk about some stuff, and not so much product, endorsement, things like that. I kind of want to dig into their, not personal life, but into the life of a tournament pro, what it entails and things like that. I don't know. We'll play around with it, but I should be able to have fun messing around with some of the guys anyway.
Yeah, the chat being off is so weird.
Sorry, yes, 12 seconds behind, so it's really, really tough. And then it flows so fast, it's hard to keep up. The one about Lake Champlain, I don't know if that'll be a toad trip up there. That's a stinking long haul for me. So a lot of my toad trips are going to be with Chad Hoover, because it was his idea. It's his concept, so I'm going to kind of respect that and go with him. And I want to go with him anyway, because he fishes some pretty amazing lakes. Some of them will be private lakes, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Some of them are just going to be let's go catch some big fish. And he's full of knowledge, so it's a good thing. I'll get him in some of my videos. I'll be in some of his, and things like that. I've got a bunch of things planned this year already. My months are filling up as fast as they can. I have to be careful not to let things overlap. It's getting real, guys. It really is. It's scary. It's so fast. It's getting so real. But tow trips are just going to evolve as we go along. It was a lot of fun. But like I said, this last one, I knew it was going to tick a lot of people off, because it was all entertainment. I didn't want to mix entertainment with educational, just to see where that happy medium was. And I think we figured it out. So
yeah, and the first 3 days were tough for you, weren't they?
Yeah, the first day was fine. I was with a guide, but it's hard to video. He had a Ranger boat, and all of my mounts were set up for the flush pedestal mounts that Rangers don't have, so I couldn't use the mounts that I had. It was just very difficult to film when everything is custom made for my boat, and so I did the best I could with him, and I learned a ton. I learned how to run the lake. I learned not to be scared to get up on plane in 3 foot of water. I learned to run those grass channels, and learn how to ditch the boat if you get another boat coming your way. The safety part of that lake was important to me. And you do that by going with somebody who fishes it every day and has been doing it for years. And I learned how to adjust. The only problem is that it rained so much, that big monstrous lake that's 40 something miles across filled up with 2 feet of water in 24 or 48 hours. So it freaked out the fish, and it made it really, really tough. I adapted the best I knew how. And I bet if I fished that lake more, I'd probably be able to do a lot better. But you just kind of get lucky. There were some big fish caught in that area that I was fishing. I just didn't get one of them.
I know I saw a lot of comments about wondering where you were on the lake. Did you?
I was afraid to say because the FLW guys were coming. That's the only disadvantage of being there at that point in time is I didn't want to help anybody out as much as I wanted to keep it kind of secret as to where I was fishing because I didn't want anybody to get disqualified for some reason. Those rules are so weird, and I don't know them all. So I don't know what's against the rules and what's with the rules. And I didn't talk to any of the pros if I could help it. Scott Martin was the hardest. I flat out, and he knows as well as I do. I know not to tell him stuff. I absolutely know not to. So at breakfast we talked about everything but fishing. We didn't talk about squat for fishing because I knew it would lead into this is what and I didn't. We just talked about family and what's going on and plans in the future and things like that, just to keep from doing that. And I think that's good that we didn't hang out before that tournament because the more we talk, we're fishermen. We're going to talk about the fishing. And so it was smarter that we didn't do that. So in the future, we'll get together and do some stuff. But cool. All right. Well, let's answer some questions. Real quick, I saw one about the spawn. Bass start spawning in low 60s, 60 to 63.
But how long do you wait at being at 62 or 63?
I've actually caught them as cold as 58 spawning. I don't like to fish the spawn anymore. I used to love it. For the most part, I've fallen in love with pre-spawn fish because those are the fatties that are feeding up and they're hanging out on the points and they're hanging out in the transition areas and things like that. And it's just a whole lot more fun to go try to catch them. But if I come up on an 8-pounder sitting on the bed, I'm going to anchor down and I'm going to start throwing something at it. But as 58 to 70 is usually when they spawn, and it's going to be early. It's going to be in the spring, and depending on what part of the country, it could be as late as June, July. I've caught them below the dam here on Clark Hill spawning in July because the water coming out of the dam doesn't get 60 to low 60s until July because it comes out of the bottom of the lake. So that's kind of how it works.
And what are you throwing? I see that question.
Everything. The thing is, you're trying to figure out what ticks them off. And I found out that if you switch up, I usually have 8 rods on the boat, maybe 9 with different things tied on, from a drop shot all the way to a jig, white stuff that you can see. The best technique that I know of is to, I'm going to give away a secret. Holy crap. Take a little bobber, teeny tiny little bobber, and tie a piece of fishing line onto it with a little egg sinker at the bottom or a little bell sinker at the bottom with about 5 feet of line, 4 or 5 feet of line. And when you see a fish on the bed, you throw that bobber off to one side of it, because the trick to fish and spawn is you don't want to block the deep water access, because when you spook the fish, they're going to go deep water. You don't want them to see you. So you throw it off to one side so you can mark that bed, back way up to where you can't see the bed anymore, and then start fishing. And I guarantee it, and I'll wait 10 or 15 minutes before I do that because I've already spooked them. Let them get calmed down, and I promise you in the first 5 or 6 casts, you're going to get bit. It may be by the male, it may be by the female, but you're going to get bit and just back way off. So that's how I do it. It's getting that way. The spawn's coming. Normally here in Georgia, I can catch them spawning on a couple of the small lakes that warm up real fast in mid-March that's on St. Patrick's Day. So, here's one from Uber Leben. Always have the problem of not knowing what bait to pick and for what conditions. Really, I've got a couple of videos on that. I've got one about how to choose a color according to the water, color of your baits according to the conditions of the water. Another thing is pick 3 baits, pick a moving bait, pick a bottom bait, and pick a topwater bait, and just fish them. Fish different colors and things like that. I would recommend the bottom bait being a Texas rigged soft plastic. And get confidence in those. Learn them. If you're just getting started, just keep it simple. Learn those. Go fishing with them. They're going to catch fish. The fish is either going to be in the mood to eat something off the bottom. If you're in a real muddy lake with a lot of silt, it's not going to work. So you go to a moving bait, and if they're, a lot of times they're in the mood to hit a moving bait, and that's when it gets fun. You bounce it off of things and you get hit. And then topwater bait in the early morning, late in the afternoon, cloudy days, anything else, try that topwater bait. So the fish dictate what lure you're going to use according to the conditions. So that's kind of how I rotate through to figure out what kind of mood they're in. I want to know if they're in a chasing mood or not, is about it. And once I figure that out, I can adjust. I can go in my bag of tricks and adjust from there. So toad trip to every state. Oh, golly. I don't have that kind of money. Dude, this trip just about killed me. What was the name of the knife I used for the Bass Mafia unboxing? It's called an SE6. E-S-E-E. No, it's SE3. SE3. SE6 is my big one.
I almost asked you that whenever you sent that video to me, because I was gonna. I knew someone would ask about that knife, and I was gonna put the info on it, but I didn't send it to you.
That is the world's best utility knife, and from the best company. It's made in Idaho. It's guaranteed for life. No matter what happens, I could break it on purpose, and they'd still replace it. And I have their SE3, which is the small one I use, and I got an SE6, which is a monster, and it goes into my survival bag. And so yeah, they're great knives, absolutely. All 1080 carbon steel.
There's a question about swim bait rods. So I know what you're using at Okeechobee, but in a more normal, like a lake that you normally fish, what are you using?
Depends on the size of the swim bait. The one I was using at Okeechobee was medium heavy with braided line, with 50 pound, was it 50? Yeah, 50 pound braid. It's typically I'm throwing a bull shad, which is a heavy bait, 3.5 to 5 ounces. So I'm throwing it on a heavy action long rod, 7'11" rod. Hopefully 13 will come out with a big swim bait rod soon, and I'll be able to use it. I don't like to use braid with those heavy ones. I like to use fluorocarbon, because when braid backlashes and you got that heavy a weight, it will snap 65 and 80 pound braid like it was butter. And I can attest to that, because I have a $125 swim bait on the bottom of Lake Guntersville from being stupid and using braid braid on a cheap reel was the dumbest thing I ever done in my life. So anyway, so that's kind of the gist behind it. It all depends on your swim bait. Swim baits run from less than 1/4 ounce all the way up to 5, 6, 7 ounces.
And then how are you deciding which? I know you had those weighted hooks.
Yeah.
How much weight you're putting on those hooks?
Depends on how deep I wanted to fish. I was going back and forth between 1/8 and 1/4. If I wanted to keep it well below the surface, I'd go 1/4 ounce. If I wanted to keep it just below the surface, or maybe use it as a topwater buzz bait, then I would go 1/8 ounce. But I found out that the bass really preferred it just under the surface or deeper, and so that's kind of what I did most of the time. So, favorite springtime hard bait is a lipless crankbait. How do I boost my YouTube page and get more subs? You create videos. Just make videos. Start doing it. Figure out what you like to do. Make videos that you want to watch, and there's going to be other people that want to watch it. YouTube will eventually pick up on it and see that you're doing a good job. And their whole computer process is they'll pick up on the fact that you're producing videos regularly, and the few people that do watch it are watching it all the way through, and then they'll gradually start recommending them to people. Also, your tags and your titles are important too, so make sure you tag them with everything that pertains to that video, and make sure you give it a good title. So 99.9% of the views that I get come from YouTube. So that's where you get your subs. That's where you get your views.
Can you explain the difference between a finesse jig and a regular jig?
Yes. Let me pull out the Seabird Outdoors Flukemaster jig. That's in their gridiron football head. There's my plug, but you guys asked for it. This is a regular jig. It's got skirt that folds over both ways, comes out of the hand tied, this is a hand tied jig out and it goes all the way down. And it's a, half-ounce head and everything else. A finesse jig is a smaller hook. It's got a ball head on it. So a lot of times they can have any kind of head, but it's a smaller hook, about 1/4 of an ounce or lighter. And then what you do is when you tie these skirts, you trim off the skirt material off the top so it looks, so the skirt material coming out of the top of it's really, really short. And that's a finesse jig. You go with a really small trailer. It's a smaller, lighter wire hook. And that's it. It's just a downsized jig with less skirt material. And the reason you trim off the outside skirt is because you don't want it to flare out. You want it to sit tight. You want it to sit tight to that skirt. And because all the flaring, that doesn't really need to happen in the wintertime when they're really slow and lethargic. A jig is my favorite bait to use in the wintertime. And if I was to fish in the winter, if I'm fishing a jig in the wintertime, I want a jig that has very little color change to it. In other words, I don't want a whole lot of colors. I just want it to be one plain or almost one plain color. This is the Trust Me color. It's got a little bit of, let me see if I can get the macro to work. It's got a little bit of blue glow to it, but it's mostly green pumpkin with a little bit of orange. And it's called Trust Me. And like I named it, trust me, this son of a gun works when the fish aren't biting anything else. So great color. That and just straight brown is a good color too. Anyway, I can go on forever about jigs, but that's the difference.
I'm just picking out questions while you're talking.
I appreciate it. I need a secretary once in a while, Matt.
Yes, I do fish, but I'm no expert at all. I found Gene the same way you guys and just want to learn more about fishing. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Now he gets to see my videos first before anybody else.
Yeah, I did see a question because it caught up to what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Your lipless crankbaits, how do you fish them?
Gosh, best thing to do is go watch that video that I have on lipless crankbaits. But my favorite way to fish them is the old start stop. I use a 7:1 gear ratio reel, or a 6:3:1, but I like a 7:1. And it's basically 4 or 5 turn stop, 4 or 5 turn stop, and it's in this cadence. And that's all I'm doing. And what that bait's doing is it's speeding up, and then it's going like this, and it's speeding up past the bass, and it's going like this. And when it falls, I promise you, if the bass are on that bait, they're going to choke it. That video that I had, I showed me taking 3 big, a 7 and 2 6s out of my live well, showing them off. The reason they were in that live well is because they choked that bait so deep, I was worried they were going to bleed to death. So I dropped them in my live well, and I have that Please Release Me chemical that's made by Sure Life Labs that I put in there to stop the bleeding and to help them get healthy. And I leave them in there for a couple hours, and then I release them. So that's why they were in that live well, because they literally choked that lipless crankbait.
Okay. How about, does adding a wacky ring affect the action of a whack-rigged worm?
No, it doesn't.
It's good to know. I didn't know that. But you don't even think it does, because when people hook it, they hook it through the.
No, because the action all comes from the ends of the worms, the ends of the Cinco. It doesn't come from the center. So the center is your anchor point, and all your action is one that's falling down like this.
A bunch of questions about, have you ever fished this lake?
Oh, yeah, I get that all the time. Rod recommendations for frogging and jigging. My favorite frog rod is a 6/8 heavy, to be honest with you. Absolutely my favorite frog rod, but they don't know, hardly anybody makes one. So most people recommend a 7'3" heavy action rod for frog fishing and a 7'3" or 7'11" for flipping. And for pitching a jig, my favorite is actually a 7'3" medium heavy, because I don't fish a whole lot of really thick cover with a jig. If I'm going to fish thick cover, I'm grabbing my flipping stick or my pitching rod, my 7'3" heavy, and flipping into that heavy cover with heavy braid. But my jig rod has a 20-pound fluorocarbon on it.
Here's a good question, because I don't know if I've seen a video from somebody about how do you save a fish when it's choked a bait.
There's several different ways that If they're talking about just a worm hook, I've been trying and trying, and maybe I'll do it this year. Is fish a Carolina rigging, let a fish swallow a hook, and so I can do an actual video on how to take the hook out and safely take the hook out. There's a trick to it, but to save one, a lot of people say dump Coke in their mouth and do all this other stuff. Get you a small bottle of Please Release Me by the Sure Life Labs. You can find it a lot of different places. Keep it in your boat, keep it in your bag, keep it in whatever. That stuff has a coagulant and it instantly stops the bleeding. It also has a chemical in it. They're not fake chemicals. These are all natural, 100% natural things in the mix. If you put it in your live well, it has a chemical that help them grow, produce the slime a lot faster, so they get their slime coat back fast. It has a natural antibiotic if they have any diseases or anything like that. It helps that, and then it has a sedative to calm them, to make them to where they aren't going to bang themselves up against your live well. It's the best stuff out there for keeping a fish alive in a live well and stopping the bleeding.
Tips for fishing 60-degree muddy water.
Oh, go home. Man, 60-degree, actually, if it's warming, I don't mind it. The fish move shallow. They're going to be shallow anyway because it's muddy. A big bladed spinnerbait, and a black and blue jig or flipping bait. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to find any cover that you can see, and you're going to try to hit it with as many casts as you can. Hit that piece of cover, and eventually you're either going to get bit or you're going to go home with your tail between your legs. Cold, muddy water is the worst conditions on the planet to me, and I literally will avoid it like the plague. There's a lot more things I could be wasting myself time doing than fishing cold, muddy water. But 60 degrees isn't bad.
How about can you drop shot from bank fishing?
Yes. Use a little bit heavier line. Use about a 10 to 12 pound test line. Tie on a offset worm hook, a small 2/0, 3/0, or actually I wouldn't even go 3/0, a 1/0 or 2/0 offset worm hook, and then Texas rig the worm on it, and try it just like you would a normal drop shot. I have a video called Advanced Drop Shot Fishing that covers this, and you can cast it out and fish it like a Carolina rig. But the cool thing about it is you can leave it in one spot for a lot longer. So you definitely can. Just remember to try to keep your rod. You can get the best sensitivity out of that rod when it is 90 degrees from where your bait is. So where your line and your rod come together is a 90-degree angle.
I've seen a couple of questions come through about electronics. I don't know if it's necessarily about what brand, but I think if you were to say at the baseline minimum of if you're putting the electronics in your boat, what do you recommend getting?
At minimum, absolutely minimum, first of all, it depends on what you can afford, but if you can't afford at least a unit that is color, that has down imaging or down scan, whatever brand you get, depends on what they call it for some stupid reason, and a GPS. Those three things. If you can't get one that has at least those three things, save your money until you can. Anything less than that, the down imaging is a great tool. Absolutely amazing tool on a boat, because what it does is it separates the fish from the cover or the fish from the background a lot of times. Gives you a lot better image and allows you to be able to actually tell whether there's fish in there, and it helps. But with that combined with your regular sonar, really you learn a whole lot more, and you learn exactly what you're looking at. And so I would totally recommend that, and they're getting a lot cheaper nowadays. So if I had to guess, $300-$400 for one now, maybe. I haven't looked at a long time. Oh goodness, what a yawn.
So you're about to start doing more of these tow trips, and it's going to be kayak based. So what's your rod lineup going to look like in a kayak?
I'm going to do a video about that. I'm going to have. It depends on the cover, but typically I'm definitely going to have the three basics: the medium light action spinning rod, the medium action bait caster, the medium heavy action bait caster. Will be the core three, and then from there it's all going to depend on what is going on, what's going on, what type of lake it is. cool thing about that Hobie is I can put 6 rods in it in the front, right in front of me. So those are the ones I'm using. And I can put 2 or 3 or 4 in the back if I wanted to. I don't like to put rods behind me because that's where my cameras go.
Do you try to fill it up every time you go out, or?
No, no. I usually will put 5 rods in the boat. That's what I fish as a co-angler is 5 rods. So, but it's going to be the core 3, and then it's going to flip. It's going to be different depending on where I'm going. So I usually in my truck, I'll keep another half a dozen rods in a rod tube somewhere with the reels off of it and the reels in storage, just in case I need to change up.
Cool. First boat recommendation. I'm gonna guess you say a Lumicraft.
For the first boat,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a kayak. Yeah, a kayak for your first boat. If you're a young guy or you know, my first boat was, what was my first boat? A 14-foot John boat that a guy sold me for a great deal. And I was married and had a kid when I got that. So
I saw some stuff come through about the Cast King braided line that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I had a question because I don't remember when I saw it, but I saw it come out. Have you heard of their Flora coat that they have?
I have not. I've got Maxi Thin is another one I haven't tested out yet.
I actually had some this stuff here. Can you see that? Sorry, probably a glare.
Oh, Flora coat. Yeah, I think I have some somewhere.
Have you tried it yet?
No,
I just saw it was new.
Not.
It was a new product of theirs. I didn't know.
No, I haven't put it on a reel yet. I got 25-pound test. They sent it to me to try out. I've gotten to be, the reason I do Cast King stuff is I've gotten to be really good friends with the marketing guy. I just really like him. Him and I get along real good. So he lets me come and try out things. Even if I'm not going to do a review, he likes my opinion. He knows I'm going to give him an honest opinion.
But you were using the braided line.
Yeah, the Mega 8. It was pretty good, and it performed exactly the way I expected. When you get a smooth braid, and it is super smooth, you can barely hear it coming through the guides. It doesn't have that whine like you hear with most braids. But the problem you have with smooth braid, no matter what it is it digs into itself, into the spool a whole lot easier because it is smooth. There's no friction. And so when you set the hook or when you get it snagged and have to pop it out of something, it will dig into the spool. And so your next cast is going to go whoop, and it's going to stop. So that was the only disadvantage to it. It's a great line. It's easy. Easy to tie knots. It holds knots very well. It's strong. It's smooth. And if you can just put up with it, getting caught in the spool a little more normal, then it's a great braid. So
cool. All right, I can do one more question for you.
Yeah, and then you got to roll.
Yeah. How can I tell what the bottom of a pond is made of? Rock, sand, or dirt? So obviously, if you're just fishing the bottom.
Yeah, if you're fishing the bottom, the best way is the same way you tell what everything else is get into clear, shallow water with whatever bait. A jig or Carolina rig are my 2 favorite. Something that transfers the vibration up, and just learn what it feels like when it hits the bottom. Another thing is if you're in a boat, stick your rod down in the water and see what hit the bottom with it, see what's down there. But that's the best thing to do is to learn what it feels like. I don't really care what it's made of. I want to know if it's hard, and I want to know if it's soft.
Right.
Those are the 2. It's either
how do you tell the difference between a stump and a rock?
Stump and a rock is the feel. A rock will give a lot more vibration up the line than a stump will. Stump feels a little bit mushy, and a rock feels like a rock. It feels hard.
Yeah.
And that's just a matter of the best thing to do is go in the shallows, drag it along, and close your eyes and see what it feels like and practice. You don't always have to catch fish when you're fishing. A lot of times, if the fishing stinks, you'll see me skipping docks because I'm practicing. So I can maybe one day when they're biting good under docks, I can skip it underneath there without hitting the side of the dock 3 times out of 5.
Right.
And so it's a lot of times when people are out fishing or just out on the water, do some things that'll make you better next time, make you better further down the road. And that's the best thing to do. So
when you were struggling at Okeechobee this week, I mean, how long were you going between catching a fish?
As much as 3 hours, and probably casting 1,000 times an hour as fast. Well, I wouldn't say that much, but as fast as I could cast and wind. and still keep it at a decent speed. I knew what they wanted. I just that lake, as big as it fishes really small, and once you get into the fish, you're in them and they're there. You just got to figure out how to get them to bite, and a lot of times they just wouldn't bite. So it was rough. It was rough for a while. That one day that I caught those 2 5s was the best day.
Yeah. All right, I gotta head out.
All right, Matt. Everybody say bye to Matt. Thanks.
See you guys. Thanks for letting me join in.
Yep. The check is in the mail.
See you guys
later. Let's see. Paul asked how to get better with a bait caster. You got to practice, dude. Get out in the yard, get a 5-gallon bucket, and aim at it, and practice. Play around with your release point and everything else. So that's what I would do. What are the difference in fishing for bass in U.S. lakes and tropical artificial lakes? Nothing really. A bass is a bass is a bass. No matter where it is, it's going to react to the same condition changes and things like that. It's gonna position itself on the same structure. It's gonna in the hot water that's down there, because I used to fish for bass in Hawaii, believe it or not. When the water gets really hot, they go searching for where the oxygen is. They look for deeper water, and they look for where the water's flowing into the lake or into the body of water that generates oxygen, or the grass or anything. So, wow, you guys comment fast. Snake River, Idaho. Tow trip idea, Snake River. Actually, I used to go to the Snake River all the time in the summer. Love to trout fish Snake River and Beaver Creek and Henry's Fork Reservoir, Henry's Fork River, or tributary. That was a fun deal. And then into West Yellowstone, that was a lot of fun. What are the best spring lures for spawning bass? Whatever they'll hit, dude. Like I said earlier, I throw the boat at them, and I've got a video on how to fish for spawning bass, and you basically just try to tick them off. I like a jig, I like a Texas rig, I like shaky head, a drop shot, anything I think that I might get bit on. So, Killing Time Outdoors asked, Fluke talk copoly lure uses, or copolymer line uses. I'm sorry. I use copolymer for everything. I don't use it for everything all the time, but if I had to pick one line that I could afford, that I could always have handy, and it wasn't going to break the bank, it would be copolymer. You can crank with it, you can topwater fish with it. It's a monofilament on steroids, is what it is. It's stronger, it's more abrasion resistant, it ties knots great, it casts better than fluorocarbon. But the fluorocarbon line is a lot clearer in the water. The braid is going to be a lot more sensitive. The fluorocarbon line is going to be a lot more sensitive. So you just got to, well, I didn't say a lot more sensitive. It's going to be a little bit more sensitive. So you got to weigh the pros and the cons on what do you want out of a line. Most versatile rod, power, action, and height. It depends on how you fish. Versatile, like I'm always going to say, it's 3 different rods. It's a medium light action spinning rod, it's a medium action bait caster, it's a medium heavy action bait caster, at least 7 feet long on all of them, and those are going to be your best 3. You can't get a most versatile out of just one rod. Can you fish a coal? Yes, if you can fish a jig on soft bottom. No, sir. The jig buries into that soft bottom, and the bass won't come down and eat it. Jig works the best on hard bottom. So don't know where the next tow trip's going to be. What's the best way to use crankbaits? Cast them and reel them back in, and then you make another cast and you reel it back in, and you make another cast and you reel it back in, and bang it up against everything you can bang it up against. Don't be scared to get hung up. And so that's how I fish a crankbait. That's it seems easy. It's not always easy. You just got to fish it until you start getting bit and you get confidence in it. So ever use a swim jig with swim bait or craw trailer? Yes, I usually use a a little paddle tail, a little like high-tech short little paddle tail on my swim jigs. I don't know where I'm staying when I go to Lake of the Woods. It's wherever 13 Fishing puts me. It's a 13 Fishing event. It's by invitation only. I don't know the whole details. I don't even know what they're doing, but it's an annual thing that they do. So it's pretty cool to be invited. It means I'm kind of doing a good job for them and introducing some pretty good products to you guys. So a sub tournament, where and when? I am going to have a sub tournament this year. It's going to be probably in the summertime, and it's going to probably be at Charlie Elliott. Actually, it's called Clyde Bell Wildlife Center and Marvin Farms PFA. It's where I grew up fishing. It's got 22. It's got 22 ponds, and usually 18 or 19 of them are open. And I'm definitely going to have it. I just don't know the dates yet. My life is kind of up in the air right now for a little bit longer. So let's see. How did I laugh and say? I didn't laugh and say go home. You must have misunderstood me. Do I use any glass rods, and if so, for what? No, I don't use glass rods. They've gotten really good at designing good crankbait rods that are carbon, so it's or graphite, whatever they call them. But anyway, I've gotten away from glass rods. Ever fish Lake Lanier? Yes, about twice a year. What's the best brand of kayak? I love a Hobie. Absolutely. If you want the best brand of high kayak, it's a Hobie. You're going to pay for it, but to me and to a lot of people, it is absolutely an amazing kayak. But it's expensive, $3,100 for a base price for a PA 14. $89 rod, number 8 tackle blackout is actually $79. Have I ever heard of? I missed that one. Sorry. What are good baits to use in cold, muddy water? I already mentioned this. It's going to be a big bladed spinner bait and a black and blue jig, or black and blue flipping bait. What was my favorite bait at the Big O? Favorite, or the one that was actually working? The fish's favorite was a swim bait. My favorite was a flipping bait, and I only caught one fish on a flipping bait, and I didn't get it on video for some stupid reason. My camera in the back of the boat was messed up, and I lost a half a day of footage. Luckily, that's the only fish I caught in the first half of the day, so you only missed that. And it was one of the big ones on the day 4 video. Was not happy about that. I have since figured out what happens, and I have to turn around after starting it early in the morning or starting it first thing. I have to turn around and make sure it's working right. And if not, I have to turn it on and turn it back off, or turn it off and turn it back on. Toad trip idea, Snake River, Idaho. I already mentioned that one. It's funny though, talking about the Snake River, it says Snake River, Idaho for big old smallies. There are several of us on the Hobie fishing team that would love to show you where we fish. My dad used to guide the Snake River way back in the 60s, and you know, he has some great, amazing stories back before that place was developed of some really cool fishing trips. And I went there several summers when I was a teenager and fished not only the snake but the beaver and Henry's Fork and everything else up there. Hold on a second. How do I pair a rod with a reel when I'm buying a new setup? It's basically, to me, I buy the rod, and then I get the reel that I can afford. That's in a decent gear ratio. The most versatile gear ratios are the 6-speed and the 7-speed reel. And then if you get up into the 8-speed, you're talking a really high speed, and the 5-speed's really, really low. And so, you know, if you can get a new setup, you're safe to go with a 7-to-1 gear ratio. So let's see. What do I use when the water temperature is around 50 degrees? If it's coming up from a winter cold, gets down to really, really cold and it gets up to 50 degrees in the winter, I'm throwing a lipless crankbait or a chatterbait, are the two that I'm throwing. That's almost exclusively. And then when I'm running the banks and I come up on some brush or some cover, I'm going to flip a brown jig in there somewhere, or a Texas rig cross, something, a bow cross, something in there. It's typically what I'm going to be doing. So I should go fishing in Minnesota. I've been fishing in Minnesota. I went in September and I went back in June. And I'm going fishing in Minnesota next week, a week after next. I'll be up in Lake of the Woods. What are my opinions on Cast King products, rods and reels? Their reels are really good entry-level reels. If you've never used a baitcaster before and you want one that is not gonna frustrate you when you are trying to learn, it's not, the reel's not going to be the cause of the frustration when you're trying to learn how to use a baitcaster. I would go with Cast King. $40, $50 reel, and it performs like about a $60 reel, $60, $70 reel. So it's a great one to start with. Their rods need a little bit of work. I'm not going to go into details with that, but they're working on it. And their reels are great. Their spinner reel feels phenomenal. I've been messing around with it for quite a while. So, wow, these things pop up fast. All right. Oh, Alex, that's funny. Where is your favorite place to buy quality fishing products? Tackle Warehouse sells some good stuff. Academy Sports is where I buy most of my stuff because it's right here in town. And that's usually the only places. I don't go to Cabela's much anymore, except when I'm looking for clothes. Where do I live in Georgia? I live in the Augusta area in Georgia. Dobbins rods. They're great rods. I'll never say they're not. What's the difference? Can I compare the difference in action between chatterbait and spinnerbait? Sometimes they want a chatterbait and sometimes they want a spinnerbait. A chatterbait is a smaller profile, has a different sound, a different vibration. It's kind of a deeper vibration, and a little less flash. And matter of fact, I don't like any flash on my chatterbait. I color the blade with a Sharpie, to turn it black most of the time. And it's just the vibration that I want. Hold on, guys. Let me try to get this feed going right. Can I do a pro and regular empty slam every month instead of just one? No. The MTV slam takes a lot out of me. It takes up a full day. And so I basically pick between the two. I probably will go back to the regular slam here in a few months. Go back and forth. But to do two of them in a month, I wasn't able to do one. Excuse me. I wasn't able to get one done in January. I feel real bad about it. It was, by the time I got to it, the box had gotten really wet in my boat because of all the rain we had, and a lot of the hooks had rusted because they just sat in that wet cardboard. I feel really bad that I wasn't able to get one done. But to do two of them a month would be a little tough. What's the top of my bucket list for fishing lakes? Lake Falcon. When JJ's Magic is shipped, how is it not a big mess inside when delivered? Only concerned with placing an order. You need to see how he packs them. I mean, it's packed really, really good. And he's only had it break once in a post office, and that's because some dude decided he was going to throw it across the room, and it broke, and it stunk up the whole post office. It was a hilarious story. It was years ago. Don't worry about it breaking and shipping. And then package it good when you get there. I wouldn't worry about it. He just shipped me some a couple weeks ago with no problem. His favorite soft plastic is going to be a Biospawn Biocraw and a Plasma Tail. How do I spot spawning bass? They clear out a little round space on the bottom. Usually it's a different color than the rest of everything else. Depends on what the bottom is as to what color it is. Favorite meal from the Tiki Bar at the Big O, Brian? Good question. It's the gosh, what was it? The chicken Philly was really, really good. I ate that twice. It was awesome. Ever gonna make a video about, crap, where'd that one go? I'm sorry, man. I totally lost that one. You guys ask questions so fast. In one of your videos, you say to stay within the recommendation line. Do you do that for braid? No, I don't. No, braid is a whole different ball game, and so you just have to worry about breaking a rod with too heavy a braid. You just don't, overbend your rod. Gene, do I get it? Says Gene, do you get excited for turkey season? No, I don't turkey hunt anymore. It's right in the middle of the spawn, right in the middle of great fishing, and that's what I do now. I love the turkey hunt. I'd love to call them. I just don't like to clean them, so I don't shoot any. But I'd love to see how close I can get them to me. How do I fish public lakes with very little cover? I still will use finesse baits most of the time. What do I think about Bass Mafia? As much rain as I got at Okeechobee, I was so glad I had my tackle in those boxes. An aluminum boat, no matter what brand you get, an aluminum boat is the seams and everything cannot be watertight. So you're going to get a little water down in your compartments. My problem was we were switching baits, trying to figure out the fish, and so you had to pull the boxes out. Things get wet inside the hatch and everything else. And I don't worry about my baits rusting anymore. And that was what was important to me, is I have to, the investment in those boxes, although they are a little bit pricier, think of what you put inside the box and think of how much those hooks are going to cost you to replace. I have, and I don't have them here, I have them in my garage. I bought 1,000 hooks this winter because all of my hooks are rusted. And that's when I said, I need to get a better box. I need to start, getting something that's waterproof. Can I explain ditching my boat when encountering a boat traffic and channels on the Big O? You always go to the right. Always, 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 always go to the right. When you're ditching your boat, when you're passing somebody on the lake, you always pass them on the right, just like you're driving a car. And so many people don't know that. But if you're running those channels and you hit somebody, or you're about to hit somebody, if both of you turn to the right, you're going to miss each other. And that's the biggest thing. And you just hope that other person knows it. Anyway, that's the way it goes. What's my favorite soft plastic? I've already answered that one. Ledge fishing tips. I got a really good video on ledge fishing. Use marker buoys, drag a Carolina rig, a crankbait, a jig, anything that you can take off of that bottom. Can I walk a rod with a moderate, or walk a frog with a moderate action rod? Yeah, well, it might be tough. You need a little bit stiffer rod, but it can be done. It's just it's probably just a little bit different than what I'm used to. Best Kentucky lake baits, I don't know, whichever one's a fish are biting. Ever going to make a video about internal braking systems? Probably not. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. I know how to take them apart and put them back together, but the technical part of it, I don't really get my mind into. Never fished Lake Ontario. Okay, I'm gonna hold on. I got to readjust some stuff to be able to see more comments. That's why I keep saying the same things. That's so weird. All right, this comment section is ticking me off. 6'6" too short for a drop shot? No, it's not. Just make sure it's the right action, a medium light action rod. I actually want to try to get 13 Fishing or get somebody to make me a shorter rod that I can stand in the front of the boat and drop it down right next to the trolling motor and not have to back my arm up. I just want to, I want to measure that distance and have a rod made that long. Wishful thinking, but that's what I've been thinking of the last, for a little while. Favorite brand name? I don't have one. Why don't I use any Daiwa products? Because I'm sponsored by 13 Fishing. More bank fishing videos with Ryan. That's coming. I can't say much about it. I'm still trying to get him situated to be able to do that. But yeah, there will be more bank fishing videos with with Ryan and with or without me. Best way to practice bait casting before heading to the water: put a 5-gallon bucket in the backyard and chunk at it as much as you want to chunk at it. Something about a weight hitting that 5-gallon bucket is pretty cool. Favorite lake in Texas is, I don't have one. I ocean fish every once in a while. I just get really sick, and so it's no fun. What brand hooks do I use? A bunch of them. I'm not really picky. Ryan is the guy I did the bank fishing video with, Bank Fishing 101, or the really good guy. He's the youngest person ever to win co-angler of the year for the BFLs. He won it at 17 years old. Really talented angler. I'm not ready for ice fishing. I just ordered my boots today. My cold weather gear is coming in, and yes, I will make a video ice fishing in my Crocs. I promise. I would not be me if I didn't. Opinion on those stupid turtles. Now you have it. That's my opinion. Let's see. How do I tell if I have a soft bottom without sonar? Get something that's, get a jig, get a Carolina rig, get something to throw on there and feel what's down on the bottom. I don't drink beer. Don't play GTA. Best way to fish a slow lake that there's no fish. I guarantee there's fish in it. I would throw a Mojo rig is what I would throw on a small lake or a lake that I didn't think there were even fish in. How much was my boat? I might get one. Base price for my boat is $23,000. After that, you kind of have to negotiate with the, even before that, negotiate with the dealer, and I get the dealer to help you out with that one. That's his job to kind of tell you. But mine all total, I don't know, it was about in the mid 30s. So gonna have a fan meetup this year, maybe 2 of them. My favorite fluke color is white ice and pearl. I don't dab, but my kids do. Why have I never hit the tournament trail? I love to fish tournaments. I'm ultra competitive. I wanted to play professional soccer when I was a kid till I found out they didn't make a whole lot of money back then. And so I'm ultra competitive, and I don't like myself when I fish tournaments. I'm really not a nice person. And I fell in love with teaching people how to fish, and that's what I really truly feel like that's my calling in life. Doing this, sitting down, talking to you guys, teaching you guys what I know, as hard as it is to follow these comments, this is what I love to do, and this is what I'm going to do until they bury me in the ground. And so I'm sorry, you're going to have to put up with me until I'm dead. But that's just the way it is. And I have no interest in that life as a tournament fisherman or a trail fisherman. I just want to create other people who want to tournament fish. I just want to teach you guys so you can make that decision later on in your life. Just a cool thing to do, and I really get a lot of good, of good feelings, good pleasure from doing that. Let's see. I'm figuring out what's wrong with this stupid thing. It's so hard to follow your guys' comments. I'm sorry, really. Aluminum boat versus fiberglass boat. I get asked this question every day. I'm going to boil it down to this. A fiberglass boat not only costs more initially, but daily, if you're going to run a boat every day, and I fish between 150 and 200 days a year, a fiberglass boat is going to cost me between $80 and $125 to fish. And I've borrowed boats, and I know how much they cost me between 2-stroke oil and the whole 9 yards. my boat, my Alumacraft Pro 185 with a 115 horsepower show cost me $15 to $25 a day in fuel and in towing cost. That's it. And so it boils down to cost per day for me. It's going to hold up for as long as I take care of it, just like a fiberglass. It's going to fish just like a fiberglass because it floats. I put good electronics and good trolling motor on it, and I fish out of it. And that would be my recommendation. If you don't want to break the bank every single day and go in debt every day for gas and everything else, get a fiber or get an aluminum boat. And I would totally recommend the Alumacraft, mainly because it's more stable, it's wider than the other boats, and it is a one-piece hull, so it's a lot better ride, a lot less flex in the boat, so that you don't feel it all the way up through your back and into your head. So I can talk about that forever. So Broncos, Panthers. I'm going to go with the Panthers, but I love the Broncos. Actually, I'm a Peyton Manning fan. How did I come up with my username? It was a screen name that I had to make up back in 2002 when I started with forums. Do I have any old equipment that I may put up for sale or give away? Not at the moment. I have 3 boys that love to fish, and they usually lay claim to that before I'm able to sell it. And so, but maybe one day I'll start doing that. Crap, it did it again. The comments are just jacking up, guys. I'm sorry if I'm missing your comments. I never fished the Savannah River. I have fished the Savannah River near the rapids, but never in the rapids. I need to get my kayak out there one day. Ever fished Erie? Nope, not yet. What do I think of Lou's reels? I think they're overhyped. They got a whole lot of pro staff. Might we see a Flukemaster website this year? Probably. That is something I am working on right now at the moment. I don't know when it's going to be up, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to do it. Tournament fishing tips? I don't know. No, I don't fish tournaments. You know, all I do is teach you how to catch them. So how did I make my intro with the guy that was on this hangout before? You may have missed it. I got an editor, and he did my intro for me. Yeah, my editor was on here, so we could talk a little bit earlier. What are your hats behind you? Those are sponsor hats and other things. I got Yak Attack's hat over here. I got the original Georgia hat. That's the very first one, all faded and nasty and dirty and everything else from the very, very earliest videos. This one's a Bass Mafia. This one's a Vexlar, who makes fish finders for ice fishing and makes the sonar phone. Number 8 tackle, Alumacraft, 13 fishing and 13 fishing. But yeah, that's the original, guys. I don't know, maybe when I'm famous one day, that'll be worth some money. So do I shoot guns? Yes, I do. Is the Concept C good for deep cranking? A 5:3 to 1 gear ratio Concept C or Concept A is good for cranking. Both of them cast really, really good. Favorite jig brand are the Seabird Outdoors and the Greenfish Tackle jigs are the ones I use almost exclusively. Try any ice fishing soon, George said, or Gage Jacobs. I will be in Lake of the Woods ice fishing next in 10 days, I believe, 10 or 12 days. Not this week, but next week. Did I grow up fishing small neighborhood lakes? Yes, I did. I grew up fishing, actually public fishing lakes is what I grew up fishing that were just hammered. So favorite lake in Georgia is going to be Lake Oconee. Best way to work a fluke, jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause is the best way to do it. Fish it weightless. Any discounts for my fans from sponsors? No, but I'm going to work on that here shortly. That's something that just keeps slipping in my mind, and blame it all on me. It is my fault. I get so busy I forget to ask them, I get to talking to them and get on, get talking business and forget about it. So that'll be something I'll make a note of and make sure I get that here shortly. Recommendations for drop shotting. Go watch my drop shot videos. I have 3 of them. That's my recommendation. It will teach you everything you need to know about drop shotting. I will probably be on Kentucky Lake once this year I'm going to try to make it for the Kayak Bass Fishing Open or the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship on Lake in March is when I'll be on Kentucky Lake, if I can make it. A lot of crazy things going on in March for me. Let's see. Guest fishing episodes with some pros, maybe. I haven't talked to any of them about it yet, but you might see that. So, what do I think about ducket rods? I don't answer those questions anymore. We don't talk about the white rods because I'm trying to get away from them. Sweet, that's cool, Gage. Best starter kayak, the one you can afford. Get the best one that you can afford. Don't get one of those thin, cheap, stinking ones that you buy at Walmart. At least get some that's going to last you a little while. Plan on spending between $600 and on up. At least spend $500, $600 on one. Beginner bait caster tips. Practice. Go watch my video on how to cast a bait caster and how to set one up and practice the snot out of it. I use fluorocarbon leaders on my drop shot rods is the only thing I use them with. What music do I listen to? Good music. I'm a musician. I'm a vocalist. I sing. I like talent, and and I can spot 0 talent from a mile away sometimes. So I'm into just about anything. So when did I first get exposed to fishing? When I was very, very little. My dad's a trout fisherman, has been his whole life, and that's the only thing we could afford growing up was to go on fishing trips for vacation. So that's what we did. So no, I wouldn't use a number 8 blackout for a crankbait rod. They don't make a crankbait rod. Ambi has one, and so does the Omen. The Omen has a pretty good crankbait rod. Favorite state to fish in besides Georgia? Alabama. Am I going to come to Texas one day? No, I'm not going to sing for you. Doo-doo. Seven minutes in Devon says I'm leaving to go to basic training in 2 weeks and had to cancel my MTV membership. That's good for you though, man. Basic training, I'll give you a trick. Do exactly what the drill sergeant tells you, exactly when he tells you to do it. Do not roll your eyes. Turn around and go do it, and do that every single time, no matter how stupid it is. Don't flinch. Just turn around and go do it, and your life will be really good in basic training. Just remember one thing: that man, that woman has to turn around and go home at the end of the day and say hi to their wife and kids. It's their job to give you a hard time, and you'll make it. The basic training was fun for me. It was a lot of fun. How do you think the toad trip went from the feedback you got? It actually went pretty good. It was the feedback I thought I was going to get. I purposely made it very, 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 entertaining and over the top, that kind of stuff, because I wanted to see what kind of reaction I would get. And so now I kind of know where that happy medium is and what I want to do. And I'm going to sit down and come up with some outlines and some ideas on what's going to go on the next ones. And work with Matt, my editor, and get that going. And you'll see some really good ones for the toad trips that I do with Chad Hoover, kayak fishing. I'm going to be doing it out of a Hobie. He'll be in his little ATAC, and we're going to have a blast. So me and Chad get along. We've known each other for a number of years, so it's going to be a lot of fun. My biggest catch was a 45-pound mahi or mai in Hawaii when I was stationed there in the Army. So thanks, Gage. Except for this stinking comment thing. I'm sorry if I'm missing you guys' comments. Every time I scroll down, it makes half of them disappear. What's my opinion on Cast King products, rods, and reels? I've already answered that one. I probably bounced all the way up. Thoughts on the iPilot trolling motor? iPilot trolling motor is really good if you're not moving from, you know how we bass fish, we kind of run the bank and everything else, and we've got to adjust for, adjust our angle and everything else. I hate the foot pedal on an iPilot, and I'm a foot pedal guy. You've got to have a foot pedal and a cable steer. Look at all the elite pros. Not a one of them have an iPilot. An iPilot's good for getting out in the middle of the lake and crappie fishing and keeping you in one spot and making micro adjustments and things like that. But the thing I hate about it is you have that momentary button that I use all the time on my trolling motor, and in order to steer the dang thing, you've got to take your foot off the momentary switch to get it to steer and then put it back on, and I don't like that. And plus, you're always looking down at it to see which direction it's pointing, and with a cable steer, you know by the position of your foot what the direction is pointing, so you don't take your eye off your target and you don't take your focus off of fishing. That's why I don't like the iPilot. But it'd be great for crappie fishing. How did I go about getting sponsored, getting your name out there? Get the book called. There's a couple of books out there. I can't remember the names of them, on social media marketing, and also you've got to understand that you've got to make yourself more valuable to the sponsor than they are to you. You're not looking for free stuff. It's a job. You're looking to represent a company. You're looking for them to accept you as an employee and create a relationship with them that's lasting. If you do that, you'll be successful. If you're looking for free stuff, if you're looking for the highest bidder, the highest person to pay you, you will not last very long. And so just understand that the fishing industry is very, very small, and everybody knows everybody, and you'll get by pretty good. When am I coming to the Everglades? Probably next year this time. I'm going to do a lot. When I go full time, I'll be able to stay down there a little bit longer, as long as my wife lets me. Favorite moving bait for cold muddy water is I don't fish a moving bait. Well, I guess I do. I spinner bait, but I'm slow rolling it. Ever fished West Point? No, I haven't. Believe it or not, I've had my chances, but I never got over there. Going to fish Virginia. No plans to anytime soon. Micro guides versus standard guides. I don't like the really small ones that are on the duckets. I used to like them, and I got away from it because they were causing me too many problems. I like the ones that are bigger, the medium micro guides. I don't know what they call them, but and then the standard ones I don't really like. Oh, favorite lure is the lure that the bass wants to eat. Best time to fish frogs is when the bass are shallow and active. I've never thought about going to Lake Conroe. I know it's got some big fish in it. Ever fish Illinois? Yes, I did it this last summer, or in September is when I did it. Best bait for Okeechobee? I don't know. It depends on what the fish want. Flipping bait or swim bait or something. Have you ever fished Carter's Lake in Georgia? Yes, I have a video called Float and Fly. My Float and Fly video was filmed on Carter's Lake. Ever fished Lake Norman? Nope, I haven't fished Lake Norman. Never fished in Michigan. Have I fished in Michigan? Yeah, I fished in Michigan. Or did I? No, that was Wisconsin. Sorry. Geographically challenged. Who is my all-time favorite fishing YouTuber? I got a bunch of them that I really like. You guys know who I hang out with, who I like. One Rod, John B, Andrew Flair, Brennan. I really love watching his videos. I've kind of slacked off this winter. mainly because it's cold. I don't blame him. And there's just so many good ones that are coming up behind me. And One Rod's going to pass me for subscribers probably in 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I'm excited for him to do that. So there's just a bunch of them. You know, One Rod's got his own style, and evidently a lot of people like him. I can't copy him. There ain't no way. He is way too energetic for me. See, Tidal River. Oh, I missed that one. Let's see, you don't even want your drill instructor to know your name. That's funny. My MOS was 91 Papa. It's changed since then. It was an X-ray tech with a secondary MOS of I was a field medic. So that was my secondary. We had one guy in my platoon in basic training. At the end of basic training, my drill sergeant looked at him and said, "Who are you?" And he had been in our platoon the whole time. He was so quiet. It was hilarious. I don't fish tidal rivers, so I don't know much about them. Lake Lanier or Lake Sinclair versus Lake Oconee. Lake Oconee is a little bit better. I don't know. I haven't fished Sinclair in a while though. It's probably doing a lot better than it was when I was fishing. Don't put my wife in any videos. She refuses to. She sometimes is my camera person though. Georgia angler. I don't fish tournaments. I can teach you how to catch them. I just can't teach you how to fish a tournament. It's a whole different ball game for me. Biospawn might be coming out with some new baits. I know they're coming out with new colors. They won't tell me about any new baits if they're doing it. 5-speed reel for spinnerbaits is too slow. You at least want a 6. Oh, ever fish Gunnersville? Yes, almost annually. I get there as much as I can. What about practicing distance casting on a bait caster? I feel like I can whip a spinning setup further. I'll tell you my thoughts on distance casting. It is more important to have a accurate low trajectory cast than a long bombing distance cast that splashes like a baseball in the water. 99% of my casts are sidearm, so I can get that low trajectory, nice entry. They're accurate, and you'll catch more fish concentrating on accuracy than you will on distance. Man, it's hard. Every time guys, if I'm missing your questions, I'm sorry. Every time I scan down to see them and I get all the way to the bottom, it mixes them up and some of them disappear. I don't know what's going on with this, so I'm trying. I really am. Ever think about coming to Lake of the Ozarks? No, I really haven't. What gear ratio for skipping? Any gear ratio. Skipping's a cast. It's not a retreat. Let's see. Do I hunt any? Yep, I do. I got one there, and I got one there, and I got one behind my lights, and one up in my son's room. I hunt from the ground. Unless I'm meat hunting, then I'm going to be wherever it takes to shoot the meat. But I love to still hunt. Get on the ground, walk and walk and walk really, really slowly, and sneak up on the deer and shoot them. That's the way I do it in Georgia, which is a whole lot more challenging. Closest I ever shot a deer was 5 yards. Why don't I throw Dobbins rods? They're a little too pricey for me. I love their I love their high-end rods. They're probably the best high-end rods out there. I just can't afford them. Have I fished a Santee Cooper in South Carolina? Yes, I did a year ago about this time. That's when my old boat broke and I had to get rid of it. Do I eat some of the bass I catch? Every once in a while. I don't like bass, and I work really hard to keep them alive and get them back in the water. The only freshwater fish I really like to eat is a crappie, and then from there, that's about it. A salmon, a good silver salmon caught out of Lake Erie or out of the Great Lakes is a really good too. So what caliber rifle do I use? 308. I never did I plan on this live stream lasting this long. It's only an hour and a half. I usually let them last 2 hours, but I'm going to get off here in about 6 minutes. I don't ever plan on how long things are going to last. I just like to talk. Have I ever looked into Jackson fishing kayaks? Yeah, I actually ate dinner with all of the bigwigs at Jackson when I was down in Florida with Chad Hoover. It was a lot of fun to meet them and talk to them. They make a good kayak. They're good guys too. I've never fished Iowa. How long have I lived in Georgia? Almost all of my life, except for when I was in the military and the early part of my life. I fished the Chattahoochee for trout. I was a huge fly fisherman when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, and I fished the Chattahoochee for trout, but I've never done it for bass. Hartwell in February, drag a jig. They should be absolutely annihilating a jig right now on those hard points and rocks that are up at Hartwell. The new concept reel that's coming out, it's not a concept, it's called an Inception. I've got the box right here. It's not a concept. Well, I'll show you the trick. They got a thing called a trick shop, and you can buy like different color spools and knobs and things like that. They don't fit the Inception. This is a concept A that I've tricked out with all with black and red accents, kind of cool as heck. But the concept series are what fits the trick shop stuff, and the Inception is $120 price range. It's a great reel. I have 3 of them now, and I tried to beat the crap out of them at Okeechobee, and they really held up good. Favorite drop shot bait is the short little plasma tail. How does it compare to the concepts? Dude, it's a good reel, really, seriously. If you're looking at a $100 reel, I would add the extra 20 bucks and buy an Inception. Really good workhorse of a reel. It's going to hold up good. I put 65-pound braid on one of them, 50 on the other. You get those things hung up in the grass at Okeechobee, and you rip them out and everything else, and the reels held up perfectly. So I totally recommend it. Do I fish Lake Murray? Yes, I do every once in a while. I didn't get to fish it last year, though. I got invited to fish it for striper in a couple of weeks just before I go ice fishing. I hope I'm able to do that. What is the most I've spent on a fishing item? It'd have to be my boat. So it's just, fishing is an addiction. And the cool thing about spending money is if you get a good job, you get a good education, get a good job, learn how to manage your money, and make sure that your family and everybody else is taken care of, and you have some extra money left over, then you can buy some pretty cool fishing stuff. You can do some pretty cool things when you work hard and you earn money. So I don't dab, but my sons do. Best pre-spawn retrieve. I like an erratic retrieve for pre-spawn. I'm looking for that reaction strike. I don't fish tournaments, so I can't answer that question. Join a club, join a tournament club. It's probably the best thing to do if you don't have a boat. I've never fished in Vermont. My sons are in bed. What are some of the things I like to do besides fish? I love to camp. When I'm traveling around, a lot of times I camp. I've got a box in the back of my truck that has a hammock and a tarp and a stove and some fuel, and I usually have a little cooler of food, and I sling my hammock between my boat and my truck, and that's where I sleep. I throw my tarp over top of it. If it's gonna rain or be heavy dew, and I drop the tailgate, throw the stove out, cook my food, put everything back up, and go to sleep. I'm pretty simple when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I love to camp. I love to garden. I usually have a pretty wicked vegetable garden when I have time. What in the heck are the comments doing that for? And that kind of stuff. So I just love being outside. The swim bait I used at Okeechobee was the Charlie's Worms something dipper. I can't remember what, skinny dipper or something like that. But that's the one I used majority of the time. I went through 3 or 4 bags of them. Lucky tackle box or mystery tackle box? That's a dumb question. It's always going to be mystery tackle box. Flukemaster apparel. I'm working on it. See the shirt or see the fleece? I'm testing out new things. I'm trying to figure out how to do it with the, that's not going to kill me, break the bank and stuff like that. You're going to see some stuff in the near future that's going to be, short runs and things like that. But I've got to figure that all out. That's all new to me, and I don't want to mess up. So it's going to be a little while. Richard, yeah, I'm ready to throw the double fluke rig, man. It's getting there. Still got a couple months. Okay, we're going to ask one more question. It's 10 o'clock, and I'm going to hit the bed. Michael Musgrove. Michael, a sub-tourney. Oh, that's my boy, Michael. A sub-tourney is a subscriber tournament where we get together, like at Charlie Elliott, for instance. That's where I'm probably going to hold mine because it can handle a lot of people. We just kind of get together and everybody throws in $10 and it's 100% payout. And my sponsors send product to give away and things like that. It's just going to be a whole lot of fun, and I'm going to probably do one this summer. I hope to do one this summer. We'll just have to see. I got to get all the details together. So good question. All right, guys. Well, I'm sorry if I didn't get to everybody's questions. Like I said, this little comment section was totally jacking up on me tonight. It loved to skip them 20 and 30 at a time. So I apologize. I hope you have a good night. I really appreciate you jumping in on this and give me your comments and things like that. Continue to watch my videos. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, be sure to subscribe. And like I say, all I want to do is teach the world how to fish. Well, take care. Have a good night. Hope you guys have a good winter. Stay warm, and look forward to my ice fishing videos. They're going to be up in a few weeks. I'm going to be preparing for that, and plus I'm going to try to do a couple of instructionals before I go. So take care. Have a good night. Later.